Rude had saved the elf, who was grateful to him. In turn, she revealed her name and told her story. She was Alicia, a former adventurer from an S-rank party, but that party disbanded after being defeated by a great monster, and she didn't leave the labyrinth unscathed. As a curse was put on her, the curse of level down. Despite trying her best to find a cure, she could only manage to slow its progress, but time was running out. And Rude felt bad for her but then realized he could help her with his newly acquired skill, the substitution skill. So without delay, he used it on her, transferring the curse to himself, and with his unique skill, the abnormal status nullification, he completely destroyed it. And Alicia was beyond thankful to him, and thus, a bond was created. Now on to the next part. A few moments had passed, and the sun was setting, but Alicia and Rude were still lively as ever, drinking their hearts out after such a long day. Alicia enjoyed this even more because the food was cheap and the alcohol was delicious. Rude sure knew a good place, and Rude just gave a thumbs up with a forced smile, as he couldn't deny the food was delicious, but he remembered he got kicked out the last time he was here. Even so, he noticed that Alicia appeared to be drinking too much, so he asked if she was okay with that amount, reminding her that she was badly injured just a moment ago. But Alicia just assured him that she was all right. She had come back and recovered thanks to him. And besides, on an auspicious day such as this, how could she not drink? And Rude can't do anything but accept her enthusiasm, and then asked what she planned to do from now on. Surprisingly, with an intent look and a blush on her cheeks, she replied that she would like to know more about him first, particularly why he decided to become an adventurer. This was a surprise for Rude, as it was the first time someone took an interest in his story, so he agreed to tell it. And like many tales, his began in tragedy. When he was a kid, his village was attacked by monsters. Because of those monsters, he lost his family and friends. But thanks to an S-rank adventurer who rushed to the scene, he survived. And he would never forget the sight of that adventurer in that moment. He was inspired. He wanted to become an S-rank adventurer like that savior someday, to save many people. That became his goal. As Rude told his story, Alicia couldn't help but admire him. She thought it was a noble goal to have. Rude then asked if she was not going to laugh, thinking it was a childish dream. But Alicia reassured him that she wouldn't laugh, as she had also dreamed of reaching S-rank herself once before. And even then, she had intended to gain more power than she had before she was cursed. But thanks to Rude, she could revive that dream again, and she was certain her companions were still trapped in the deepest part of the abyssal labyrinth. Whatever the outcome, she intended to challenge that monster once again. But for now, at least until they both gained enough strength to achieve their goals, she reached out her hand and asked what he thought about forming a party together. But Rude, having unique circumstances he couldn't easily share, he plans to decline but struggled to find a way to say it kindly. But before he could muster the words, someone grabbed Alicia's hand instead. It was the same guys who had kicked Rude out of the restaurant a few days back, and they still looked at him with the same eyes, as if he were insignificant. Not only that, but they also dared to make moves on the girl he was with. The disrespect was palpable, and Rude couldn't let that slide. So he grabbed the most talkative of the two and warned him to step back. But not knowing any better, they thought Rude was still the same guy they could easily beat. So the blonde one grabbed him by the collar and threatened him, escalating the tension and bringing them to the brink of a fight. Lucky for them, Alicia decided to intervene. She wouldn't let anyone ruin her celebration. And so she reminded this boys that this was a pub, and if they were going to fight, they should do it by seeing who could drink the most. With this, the celebration continued, with everyone delighted and drunk. And as they gulped down beer, cheers grew louder and louder. And as time went on, Alicia and the others became increasingly intoxicated. But the beer kept flowing non-stop, one mug after another, which thrilled the bystanders, who had never seen such a competition before. The bar was livelier than ever. A few moments passed, and the bald guy was out cold. Even the blonde one was unconscious, with only Alicia standing strong, a smile of triumph on her face. She was proud to show them what a true elf was capable of, and the crowd cheered, delighted to see their victor, which boosted Alicia's ego even more when it came to drinking, leading her to look at Rude with a smug face, seeking his approval. And he didn't disappoint, giving her a thumbs up for winning. After that, they moved to a quieter spot to continue their conversation, but Alicia, now too drunk, just giggled as Rude complimented her for doing great, considering she had already drunk quite a lot before the drinking contest, to which she explained that it was only because he was her benefactor. She hadn't fallen so low that she would just sit still while he got disrespected like that. But before she could even finish her sentence, the alcohol caught up to her, making her dizzy. She fell asleep on Rude, which he found quite hilarious and cute. Still, Rude decided to use his substitution skill once more, taking away most of her drunkenness. This surprised Alicia, but it was a welcome one, as she couldn't believe how wonderful his skill was, and suggested they should definitely form a party together. But before that, she wanted to enjoy the night and continue to drink some more, lightening everyone's mood once more. Nevertheless, she noted that it was too bad she couldn't try their special dish, the salt-grilled Barnabas, which the owner overheard, so explained that it was because a monster had taken up residence in the Barnabas fishing grounds. He had already sent a request to the guild, but it looked like all the top adventurers were currently out. But since they are adventurers themselves, the owner took the opportunity and asked if they would be willing to take on the request, which they did. So when the next day, they were already riding a boat at the Barnabas fishing grounds. The scenery was beautiful, a sea full of islands that made it look like they were sailing on a river. But they didn't care much about the scenery, as they were focused on defeating the monsters quickly, so they could enjoy the special dishes. Unexpectedly, a water bullet suddenly shot out of the water, which Rude dodged it and smiled, realizing they wouldn't have to search long since the monster had already found them. But their smiles faded when they saw the sheer number of creatures emerging from the water. The situation was more alarming than they expected. The owner had only recently requested help, yet the monster population had already increased dramatically. With this, Rude used his appraisal skill and identified the creatures as level 23 Gurnib, with attributes averaging 35 and 3 skills, notably water bullets and high-speed swimming. But this didn't explain why they were this many. But even before he could find answers, the Gurnib launched a relentless barrage of water assaults. The sheer number of attacks made it difficult for Rude to defend from the unstable boat. With this, Rude decided that he needed a different approach, and so he jumped into the water, using himself as bait. And as the fish swarmed towards him, he activated his lightning cloak, electrocuting them all. The water amplified the reach of his skill, creating a spectacular light show visible even for Alicia, who was in the boat. And moments later, she saw the dead monster fish floating to the surface, which followed by Rude, who was unharmed, while Alicia felt a wave of relief seeing him. But Rude noted that it seems like their victory was not yet complete, as a few Gurnib still lurked deep underwater. And the fact that these creatures weren't attacking puzzled Rude, so he wondered if they were simply cautious, or perhaps protecting something. To find out, he told Alicia that he would dive deeper to investigate, and asked for her assistance in the meantime. Rude then descended into the depths, a rope tied around his waist. As he swam closer, the Gurnib's behavior confirmed his suspicion. They were not attacking, nor were they fleeing. They were guarding something. And the sight of what lay below made Rude's eyes widen in shock. He saw a hideous, monstrous creature with numerous tentacles and crab-like legs loomed beneath the seabed. Immediately, he used his appraisal skill and discovered that it was a level 38 tentacle monster, boasting overwhelming strength and health points averaging 200, and it also possessed 2 new skills he haven't seen, such as autotomy and accelerated healing. But what astonished him even more was the discovery at the tips of its tentacles, with a crab-like shells just detached from its main body, and then suddenly transformed into Gurnibs. This explained their rapid multiplication. If he didn't defeat the tentacles now, there would be no point in continuously killing the Gurnibs. But since the creature showed no sign of attacking, Rude decided to retreat and prepare for a more strategic assault. But this is what the cunning tentacle monster wanted. So as soon as he turned away, it seized its chance to grab Rude's legs and yanked him deeper into the ocean. And the Gurnib swiftly followed and swarmed around him with their jaws open wide, ready to devour him alive. But they were out of luck, for they are against Rude. And so he enveloped them in his lightning cloak once more, electrocuting the surrounding fish, while simultaneously damaging the tentacle monster. And he kept the skill active, intending to kill the creature. But the monster's cunning nature showed again, as it separated the tentacles holding Rude. And seeing this up close, Rude was sure that this was its autotomy skill in action. And now he realized how cunning this boss monster really was. But his trains of thought was disrupted, as he noticed the tentacle monster was already up close, and was about to throw some hands, but Rude knows better not to fight it with his breath running out. So he tugged his rope hard to signal Alicia on the boat, and leave everything to her. And as always, she didn't disappoint. Alicia quickly understood the signal and sprang into action, using her wind magic to pull the rope as fast as possible. With her help, Rude managed to escape the tentacle monster's attack just in time. And a short while later, he made his way back to the shore, exhausted from the ordeal. But after catching his breath, he thanked Alicia, then explained the situation, and that there's a boss deep underwater that continuously produces Gurnibs. It also has an accelerated healing skill, so he needed to hurry back before it fully recovers. But Alicia thought this is a bad idea, as the monsters have a huge advantage over them in the water, and her magic won't reach down there either, unless he has a plan in mind that he would like to share. And Rude confirmed that he had a plan, but he couldn't share it easily. What he was about to do was considered taboo, not just for an adventurer, but for everyone in this world. So he hesitated, torn between revealing his secret or giving up and letting the monsters live another day. But he knew that if left unchecked, they could grow more powerful and disrupt the ecosystem, endangering those living near the sea. And he couldn't allow innocent people to suffer because he was afraid to reveal his abilities. And Alicia wasn't a stranger anymore, as she had trusted him with her curse and had even formed a party with him. That's why he felt he should reciprocate. And so, with determination, he turned to Alicia and said he needed to share something important, but made her promise not to tell anyone. And Alicia agreed, but she was shocked as Rude revealed his secret. A few moments later, back at the seabed, the boss was tirelessly working to create more sea minions, confident that the adventurer had been scared away. But to its surprise, a figure zoomed in fast from above. It was the same adventurer from before. Utilizing the same high-speed swimming skill as its minions, Rude effortlessly slashed through the monster fishes. And the boss reacted quickly. It extended multiple tentacles to stop him, but Rude just weaved through them with ease like butter, closing the distance and stabbing the creature in its soft spot. Still, the boss was thinking it still had a chance to counterattack, so it lashed out another attack. But Rude just smirked and activated his lightning cloak, electrocuting it from the inside. And with that, he successfully killed the boss, and all the remaining fish monsters around him fell as well. And the fishing spot should now return to its peaceful state, but Rude's mind was preoccupied with thoughts of Alicia. After witnessing him devour a monster, he wondered how she felt about him. What would she say when they got back? The uncertainty gnawed at him, but he braced himself for whatever was to come. And as he reached the shore, his eyes filled with dread when he saw no sign of Alicia. The absence hit him hard. Still, he forced a smile, as he questioned himself why he even assumed she'd wait for him. He got his hopes up again, but as he walked back, despite the smile he wore, you could see his whole body slump under the weight of his emotions. But all of it faded as he heard Alicia's voice again. She emerged from the bushes carrying a bunch of wood and twigs she had gathered near the forest, and was relieved to see that he didn't look hurt. So without missing a beat, she continued with her task, assembling the branches she had gathered for a campfire, explaining she couldn't just sit still while waiting and wanted to help him dry his clothes. But Rude was just standing there shocked by how casual she was after finding out what he was doing with the monsters. So he asked if she was really okay with that, which she admitted that it did surprise her quite a bit, but the fact that he trusted her enough to reveal his secrets made her happier than anything else. With this, a sudden spark made his world more colorful than before, and her smile helped this grow stronger. And so he thanked her, feeling a warmth he hadn't felt in a long time. And now that his worries were out of the way, he confidently revealed that he wanted to get the boss's skill as well. So he cut off a part to bring back. But he thought it might be strange if only he ate, so he brought back some Barnabas fish too. And before he could even finish his sentence, Alicia's eyes lit up excitedly, and she told him she would love to eat it. And her enthusiasm made him smile. She was totally different from anyone he knew, subverting every expectation he had. And they prepared the food together. And while they did, Rude decided it might be the right time to tell her about the first time he ate a monster. A few moments later, night enveloped the land, and only the campfire illuminated their surroundings. Alicia was happily eating the food Rudy had prepared. Listening intently to his story, she remarked how there was such a reason behind his transformation, and Rude could only laugh at the irony of the unfortunate event that brought an E-rank weakling like him a step closer to his dream. Alicia couldn't help but be thankful for that event too, as Rude had used his newfound power to save her from the adventurer hunters and lift her curse. As she savored the meal, Alicia commented on how surprisingly delicious the cooked monster meat looked. Rude confirmed her observation with a grin, explaining that monsters taste pretty good when cooked right. He mentioned that he didn't need to eat it anymore, but wanted to try cooking it properly. When he offered her some, Alicia declined, not wanting to risk the same symptoms he had experienced. With that out of the way and Rude opening up to her, Alicia asked again if he was willing to join her party. But Rude, who was still wary from past betrayals, needed to be sure of her intentions. He asked why she was so eager to team up with him when she could have stronger acquaintances. And so Alicia explained that it had been 5 years since she got cursed. Even if her former comrades didn't die in the labyrinth, considering the human lifespan, many might have retired. Moreover, most adventurers on the front lines have quite a few screws loose, making it hard to trust them with her life. For adventuring together, she wanted someone she could trust with her back, and she believed Rude was that person. This answer resonated with Rude, as trust was what he sought too. With this understanding, he finally agreed to form a party with Alicia. The night felt warmer than ever, their newfound companionship bringing a sense of hope and warmth to the otherwise cold world they navigated.